Hey Revolutionaries, I'm excited to bring you this week's episode with Dr. Elliot Justin, where we're talking about men's sexual health and the big E. That's right, the big E, not the big O. I'm sure everyone knows what the big O is. But the big E, when it comes to men, is for erections. That's right, erections. And how it relates to cardiovascular disease, strokes, potential strokes, and metabolic disease. That it's actually, if you have the ability to understand nocturnal erections, not just the everyday morning wood erection, it has some predictive capabilities about men's sexual health, men's health in general, and also sexual health. So, yeah, you know, what you can do, if you haven't noticed, I've been going down this sort of health journey exploration lately, and thanks to the algorithm gods, somehow Elliot Justin found me and I found him, and so it's very cool episodes, very interesting actually, and it's very timely since the world is just going high tech and getting eaten by software, and the biohacking universe is going cray-cray, and so this kind of hits all of those things all at once. So stay tuned for the episode, but before we get there, real quick, just a reminder, you can always go to JimJim'sReinventionRevolution.com, find all the episodes there, sign up for the email list, and you'll get emailed automatically 7 simple ways to prime yourself for reinvention. And, if you're interested, it's early in the year here, and you're tackling new things, go check that out. Also, I was just, I'm on the road right now, and maybe it's fortuitous that I'm sitting in Bangkok, Thailand right now, based on this episode that I'm releasing. But I was actually coming from Dubai on my way here, and then who knows where I'll go from here. I might get to another spot in Asia before I head back to the States. But I just went to Michelle's Nomad Escape dinner, one of her dinners that she was holding this year in Dubai. So I'm going to tell you about that probably on an upcoming episode, so stay tuned for that. Just another reason to keep listening. But right now, let's get to this episode with Elliot.
Welcome to Jim's Reinvention Revolution podcast, the show that explores reinvention in the digital age as it relates to career, creativity, and technology. Stay tuned for interviews with professionals, entrepreneurs, and creatives that have reimagined success and are making a pivot. If you'd like to listen to the entire back catalog, visit JimJim'sReinventionRevolution.com for instant access. And now, here's your host, Jim.
Hey everybody, hey, this is Jim. Welcome to episode 133 of Jim's Reinvention Revolution podcast. And I'm talking today with Dr. Elliot Justin, and we're talking men's sexual health. That's right, men's sexual health. And the big E, erections. I know. This is where the podcast has brung me, everyone. But Elliot, welcome to the Reinvention Revolution. What is up?
Great to be here.
Is that the right question to start with? What is up? How are you? All right, that's my 13-year-old coming out. Hopefully we can get past that now, but thanks for your patience. Anyways, Elliot, thanks for being here, and tell people what you have going on here. This is a very interesting product, device, monitor, and connection that you've made, I think, between sexual health and cardiovascular health, all kinds of stuff. So please tell people what you have going on.
Well, we live in this incredible age of healthcare wearables. You can get data pretty much about almost all your body systems,
Right.
But there's an obvious gap, and that gap is sex, and we fill that gap. That's what's up. Filling the gap. Wait
a second. Okay.
And it's kind of striking because what do people pretty much care most about? So we're basically giving people the vital signs of their most vital organ.
Right.
We all know that a man is probably mentally only as good as his last 2 or 3 erections. If they haven't been good, he's probably mentally ill. Shouldn't be entrusted with anything about responsibility.
Yeah, right.
So our mission is better sex and better sexual health for everyone, and longer lives of lovemaking through 2 ways. One is by providing people with actual data of the sexual and the cardiovascular health.
Yeah.
Jim, I'm a doctor, so if you came to me with a problem with your bowels, your heart, your lungs, your brain, we get imaging tests, blood tests, various ways of assessing how bad it is, or for preventing a problem, or to manage the problem, because we have data we can track. But when it comes to sexual health, until now, there's just been conjecture, pharmacy endorsements, celebrity endorsements, and things of that nature. So what we've done is embed. About 4 years ago, I was approached by a urologist, professor at the University of Utah, with a way of counting nocturnal erections. And I said, well, why do we care about that? And he explained to me that nocturnal erections are a leading indicator of man's cardiovascular health. And that kind of took me aback because, one, I hadn't heard about it.
Yeah.
And two, it would be a vital sign that you're a lot more interested to men than some fluctuation of blood pressure or some minor elevation of lipoproteins. So in medicine, there are very few leading indicators. In medicine, we treat associations. High blood pressure is associated with stroke, elevated lipoproteins associated with atherosclerosis, but they're not predictive. If my blood pressure goes from 120 to 140 systolic, it might be a signal if it stayed over time, but it's not predicting anything.
Right.
Whereas if the number of men's nocturnal erections come down by 50%, that man has a close to 50% chance of having a cardiovascular event over the next 2 or 3 years. The majority of men before heart attacks and strokes report erectile dysfunction. So to be able to catch signs early would be a profound preventive, benefit.
Yeah. You know what? Just can we pause here just a second? I just want you to say that again, because this was the fascinating part. That was like, I wasn't putting this together. Like I assumed that probably most guys out there are the same. That like when you're feeling good, you're feeling better, you probably have more erections. It's firmer. Your morning wood is more happy, whatever, as you say. But I wasn't making the connection. There's a real connection between cardiovascular disease in this situation, not just general health. And that's important to me because my background in my family, some genetics, and my dad had a heart attack, open heart surgery, and all this kind of thing. So it's like, for me, it's like that's an interest of mine, getting to the age where this general topic's interesting me. And I was unaware of that. And that's what's so interesting about this thing. Obviously, sexual health is connected to your overall health, but there's some specifics that it predicts, like you're saying. Say that again.
Yeah, basically on the night shift while you're asleep, your penis is trying to tell you something, but you can't pay attention to it because you have no way of tracking it. So
Right.
your nocturnal erections, the number, the duration, the firmness, they're the leading indicators of your cardiovascular health. And if those numbers deteriorate, it's a strong signal that you have impending cardiac or cardiovascular problem. They're also an indicator of your sexual health as well too, because men who have physical ED as opposed to mentally psychogenic ED will usually have deterioration in their nocturnal erections as well too.
Right. And it's connected to blood pressure, I assume, too, as well. Like,
well, it's just crudely. The heart's a pump. So men whose pumps are failing, they have congestive heart failure, they have angina, they have heart attacks, they have primary cardiac disease. They don't pump enough blood to get an erection or sustain an erection. Similarly, next going down the pipes are the arteries that conduct the blood from the penis to the heart. And then with diabetes, hypertension, atherosclerosis, they get calcifications, plaque in those arteries that narrows the blood flow that interferes with blood getting to the penis. The PD5 medications, what guys call dick pills or erection pills, Viagra and Cialis being the leaders, they somewhat increase blood flow by dilating, opening up arteries. They put a little more blood in, which is helpful, but it's not, it's not the dramatic effect that a lot of people imagine. It's not like, hey Jim, you're a handsome guy. Take a pill right now. I'm not getting hard on. Sorry, man. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work that way. They require stimulation, to be effective. And frankly, they're actually most effective in men who don't have ED. I would estimate. I'm not the only one that probably more than half the prescriptions for Viagra and Cialis in this country are for two purposes: as a recreational drug to put more blood in, but also as a confidence builder. We're all subject to the not just a placebo effect. Jim, you know about the Hawthorne effect?
Say that again. I know the placebo. Yeah, what's this other one?
So the Hawthorne effect is really interesting because the Hawthorne effect is that if you're told that something's going to do something, it's more likely to do something. So
Okay.
if guys are told that, hey, this is, that this pill is going to,
Right.
give you a boner faster, whatever,
Right.
the guys will believe it. Look, I mean, we're all subject to that kind of thing. If we went to my bathroom right now, you'd see about 8 or 10 supplements. And I don't think only 3 of them really are valid. I think just to digress from erections, vitamin D3 is clearly beneficial. That's well established. Fish oil is clearly is well substantiated. But most of the rest of the stuff that's in my bathroom, probably
I guess
many
it's
men's
kind of like
bathrooms as well
along the
too.
lines of manifesting, like whatever you sort of put in your mind's eye, you hear something, oh, that's what's going to happen. You sort of manifest that thing
Well,
happening.
we've because we're providing men and the healthcare providers, and also entrepreneurs and businesses, a way of objectively testing every proposed intervention for men's sexual health,
Right.
to move away from cardiovascular for a moment. There's research going. I mean, it's been demonstrated that, and this is important for your listeners. If you don't want to take a pill, an erection ring is as effective, if not more effective, than 10 milligrams of tadalafil. Most guys are thinking just pills, because that's the impact of pharma, and that's the thinking of doctors. Doctors have been just as indoctrinated as men
Right.
about pills, and but we've the supplement industry is a multi-billion industry, and a good deal of its focus is on erectile health, erectile
Right,
function.
yeah. Certainly have good
We haven't,
marketing.
found, we haven't found a single supplement that works. Afagadwana, L-arginine, L-citrulline, nitric oxide, horny goatweed, maca root. I could probably name a half dozen more. We've tested 11 substances and have not found any to have any significant impact on improving a man's nocturnal blood flow. And if they did indeed work, we should see improvement at night. And one of the important things about testing at night is there are less variables. You're not watching porn. You're not with a partner. You're less likely to be drunk or stoned. We've eliminated a lot of the variables.
Right.
When we test at night.
Right.
So
It's a good way to scientifically do the measurement. So let's talk specifically a little bit about that so people don't get lost out there listening. Like, what are you guys talking about exactly? This is a physical device that you've built, that you invented, right? The name of the company is called Firmtech, and it's a technical device. It is I would know this as, in my previous earlier lives, as a cock ring of some sort. That's been my only experience with it. You might call it an erection ring or whatever, but it's something that actually goes onto your body, around your penis, and is able to measure something kind of like the Aura ring, like for your finger, right? And it measures blood flow and all the statistics during the night while you're wearing it, right? But also simultaneously, go ahead.
my wife calls it a dick bit.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. The dick bit. I like that. Perfect. That's what it is. It's a dick bit. But it's also got this pleasure component, and I want you to kind of describe the whole thing because it's pretty interesting. You might be interested in this thing on multiple different levels, for different reasons.
Well, the device is called the techring. We've documented like 165,000 erections on close to 4,000 men, and we have dick data that no one else in the world has. And with that data, the researchers using our technology have figured out that the leading cause of erectile dysfunction is not the leading cause; it's the second leading cause. Most men who think they have ED don't have ED; they just got a problem that can be fixed. And I'll get to that in a moment.
Interesting.
There's numerous papers either completed or underway about this. Utilizing this technology, you can see the impact of diabetes, hypertension, atherosclerosis upon your sexual and cardiovascular health by tracking your nocturnal erection data. You can measure the impact of, often negative impact of medications like antihypertensives and SRI depressants that we doctors prescribe without warning people that they're dick killers. You can measure the impact of a lot of the alternative therapies, Botox, P-shots, penis extenders, penis pumps. You can right dose testosterone in order to not just chase a number, but you can follow your nocturnal erection blood flows. This is really transformational in the field of men's health and men's cardiovascular health. In order to come up with a device that can be worn comfortably overnight, we basically had to reinvent the cock ring. I'd rather call it an erection ring. The reason because that's its function. It's on your cock, but it's also sustaining assessing and sustaining your erections. So our rings are not made out of silicone.
That's a good distinction.
Yeah. Most cock, typical sex toy cock ring is made out of silicone. Pinches uncomfortable. You can't wear it for more than 20, 30 minutes. It's cuts. You have to have a full erection for it to work. It's cutting off the arterial circulation. Basically, putting a noose on your dick and hanging your dick, and that's not ideal, obviously. So our devices, because can be worn overnight, at least the tech ring and the performance ring, they allow the arterial blood to go in, and they just constrain the venous return. And they're easy on, easy off. They go on and off with a hook and loop design that we patented, so that men who are challenged, look, put it this way, Jim, you look like a fit guy. I'm a fit guy too. I can look down and I can see my dick. By the way, I'm dressed right now. But I can.
Yeah. Thanks for clarifying.
I'm not asking you to stand up either. But most guys, I'll be 73 in a couple of weeks. Most guys my age look down, they see belly. Most guys your age look down, they see belly. Yeah. So having a ring that doesn't go down the shaft just requires a man to find his balls, basically, drop the device into his balls and wrap it around. That's easier on, easier to apply. Right. But what we discovered, one of the two big discoveries, in retrospect, that's really obvious, is what the doctors anticipated would be verified, because the doctors think the number one cause is left side heart failure, meaning the heart's not pumping enough blood, or you're not getting blood through your arteries. And those are men with really severe. Those men are genuinely dysfunctional. These are men who struggle to attain an erection or can't attain an erection, and that's those guys. If there anyone out there listening, you need to see a cardiologist, neurologist. You have a significant problem. You could have life-threatening causes, and you need to look into it. But the vast majority of men, in this enormous data set we have, old guys are staying just as hard as young guys. So why are they reporting more ED? What's going on? Well, they're getting hard, but then their erections fade faster. It's just a function of age. As we get older, our erections fade faster because combination of issues. One is a physical issue. Our smooth muscle around our venules, our small veins, gets weaker with age, and our venules get stiffer. The impact of that, for example, can be seen by a lot of people old people when they travel. By older, I mean over age of 40, 45. You sit in a plane for a long time, your rings get tight, your socks might get a little bit tight. It doesn't happen when you're 12 years old because your smooth muscle and your venules are healthy. You pump blood back to heart faster. Well, in the penis, the result is blood leaves the penis faster. Now, there's psychological confidence issues enter it as well. But once a guy gets hard, and the vast majority of men get hard, like 86% of men get hard. If we exclude the men, and again, if you're out there, if you struggle to attain erection or can't attain erection, you likely have a cardiovascular metabolic problem. See a doctor. But the vast majority of men get an erection and then they lose it. And it could be for a whole variety of reasons. It could be you're worried about paying the mortgage. You're cheating on your wife. You've had too much. You shouldn't have had that third cocktail. Right. Maybe you shouldn't have danced for that last hour. Or you're worried about paying the mortgage, or you're taking medication. We doctors prescribe like an antidepressant or beta blocker that's interfering with the ability to sustain an erection. But once you get an erection, primary therapy should be directed to keeping blood in. Now the PD-5 medications, Viagra, Cialis, they put a little more blood in, but they don't keep it there. Only a ring will keep it there. So put a ring on it. Now there are two papers as well showing that's one discovery. The majority of so-called ED for most people is not ED. You're just getting a little bit older, and a ring just works just the way women use vibrators. Why is it that I mean, let me back up. It took about 30 to 40 years for the stigma about vibrators to disappear. I mean, I'm older than you, Jim. When back in the late 70s, early 80s, when someone decided to popularize vibrators for women, they've been around for 100 years, but some smart person,
right?
Why wasn't it me, by the way? But some smart person said, let's miniaturize these things. Let's figure out how to miniaturize the market, et cetera. Right. And originally there was a concern that they're numbing, or that women become dependent upon them. It's the end of the American family. Women won't have kids, they'll marry the vibrators. But now they're normal. I mean, the vast majority of women use them both when they're alone and when they're with partners. the vast majority of men, accept the fact that, hey, my dick doesn't vibrate, nor do my fingers vibrate, and my tongue doesn't vibrate. That the vibrator is this extraordinary thing for women. But whereas for men, erection rings have never caught on because they're uncomfortable. They've been poorly designed, and that's what we've done. We provide people with potentially life-changing data in terms of their cardiovascular and sexual health, but we've also redesigned the material and the form of an erection ring to give men a tool to optimize their performance. So in addition to this discovery that, and so by the way, if you think you have ED, but you're getting hard and you're losing it, you don't have ED, you got a problem. Put a ring on it. But there have been 2 papers comparing the ring to 10 milligrams of Cialis, tadalafil, most commonly prescribed prescription PD5 medication, probably in the world, certainly in the United States. And it's really surpassed the blue pill. It's the yellow pill now. But the pill, the ring is as effective, if not more effective, than the pill. And you'll keep. So we did 2 studies of D2-mescence, and there's been 1 independent study as well too. One is the D2-mescence, the time it takes for an erection to go down after climax. So the more blood that's held in the penis, the longest it takes for your erection to go down.
Right.
The more sensitive penis is, the more pleasurable it is. Blah blah blah. And actually, I shouldn't say blah blah. I should say yeah. The stuff, with nothing, just letting it go down is like 2 minutes. Excuse me, it's like 35 seconds. With the ring, with tadalafil 10, it was a little bit around 2 minutes, and with the ring, it's around 3 minutes. And with the ring and the pill together, it was close to 5 minutes. I mean, the takeaway for every man should be, maybe I should put a ring on and take a pill.
Right. Well, that's interesting. Well, now we have a way to really measure this, and it sounds like the data that's coming out that's reinforcing the idea that, hey, that you're onto something here. I mean, that's interesting, and to me, I think there's two things. I guess that's really interesting for me. Obviously, the sexual health part of it is like, hey, I want to enjoy that part of my life, but the real overall health connection with cardiovascular disease, metabolic stuff that might be going on with you, that's super interesting. I was just like, it makes sense kind of, again, in retrospect, you're like, well, yeah, if that's not working, your whole body's not working. Your body's a system. And that's just a good indicator overall of how well it's working, right?
Well, I think that I'm confident that what we're doing will become a standard of care. It might not be my product, but but in terms of getting data about men's sexual health, that will become a standard of care. It's just going to take about three to 5 years, and that's why we're having all this research done, because the authorities don't change their minds or introduce new things easily. But right now, if you're 45, 50 years old and you're worried about your health and you want a physical, they don't even ask any questions about your sexual health. They should.
Yeah,
they don't.
I was going to say, I don't think I've ever had a doctor ask me about how's your erection, how many are you getting erections at night, you wake up with morning wood, any of that stuff. There's like 0 questions about it.
Yeah, well, I could say they're a-holes, but they just, part of the problem is, a big part of the problem is, medicine is about money. So people want to say, I hear people say commonly, but gee, we don't talk about these things because we're embarrassed and the doctors are embarrassed. All that's true, but we doctors talk about vomit, shit, piss,
right? Yeah.
Bad odors.
Doctors are a different breed.
It's not about. I don't think that's the primary reason. The primary reason is there's no money in it. If the family doctor or an internist could check a box and collect, because on the electronic health record, you have this review of systems. Your heart, your lungs, your bowels. Right. You have the system. Sexual health is not there. Think about it. It's so important to people, and it's not there. So there's no prompt for them to do it. And the more boxes they check, the more money they make. Matter of fact, they check boxes that I've been actually doing stuff because the system corrupts people that way.
Right. Well, this is an interesting question. Have you thought about, just from a business point of view, getting the Firmtech, the erection ring idea, sponsored or accepted by health insurance companies as something that you could prescribe to a patient?
Ultimately, that's our goal. We are covered by FSH and HSA plans right now, so people can pay for that.
Okay, so that might drive that conversation, like you're saying, right?
Right, but what you need to do prove to the insurance companies are 2 things. One is that you're just going to save them money. That's a huge study that would require following men over a significant period of time.
Right.
I'm confident that if you give people data about their health, you're going to be improving their health. But I don't know. That's not the way insurance companies think. They need to have it proven. So that's a big study that we don't have the resources to conduct. And
See. That's a longer term.
You get that more from pharma because they've got the money to fund those kind of, hey, 3,000 patients, 3,000, and we're going to study this for 2 years. It's really hard. It's hard to do that. The Viagra papers. We'll get that in a second. The standard of care. The other way to persuade doctors to change things is do so much research that doctors and get publicity that doctors realize that I'm not taking good care of people if I don't get their data. And that's where we are with men's health right now.
Right.
With men's health, it's just pass out a pill. And that's not how we take. Look, Jim, if you had high blood pressure, thought you had high blood pressure, if you had told me, when I go to the gym, my pulses are regular, I think I have a heart arrhythmia, and I said, hey, Jim, that's really interesting. Take this pill and come back in 3 months. You would think, what?
Crazy.
I get an electrocardiogram, you get a rhythm strip, you get some blood test. How about getting an echo of my heart?
Right.
But when it comes to men's sexual health, the standard of care is basically like circa 1900. Well, this is what I heard works.
Right.
Try it. Or a doctor. I heard that Jim Snake Oil. Just incredible stuff. It's just
Right.
Should I take it? Yeah, why not? I can't do it. Matter of fact, I'll sell you some. It's really terrible what goes on, frankly, in sexual health.
It is terrible. Well, I think the time has come. I mean, now we've had this explosion of the Oura rings and the Garmin watches and the Apple Watch and fitness trackers, Fitbits. It's time for the dick bit, man. That's I can see that clearly.
I agree.
So I think you're right. Right in the lane you need to be in with this invention and company that you've been driving lately. But I want to rewind a little bit before this. I want to understand where you're coming from, how you got into this. I mean, you trained as a medical doctor. You didn't necessarily train as a business person or entrepreneur. Tell me a little bit about your background of. You're 73. I mean, you should be just on the golf course somewhere, just hanging out, man. But it sounds like you're having the time of your life.
I'm having time to be talking about sex and health all the time, and be actually transforming urology and gynecology. It's a legacy.
Oh,
I'm having
rewarding,
a lot of fun.
right? It's huge. It's got to be huge.
I started 7 companies. I've had 4 exits. This is the 5th company. This is the 5th company. I'm confident eventually I'll get an exit. But there are 2 paths here.
Okay.
One is how did I start business and how did I get involved in sexual health? Yeah. I'll focus on the business one first. So I was an emergency medicine physician, and I'm actually one of the oldest, literally, emergency medicine physicians in the country because the boards. I think I was like the 88th. Yeah, I was like the 86th or 88th person to pass the boards in emergency medicine. I was a really young specialty when I started.
You're an OG, man. All right.
My initial focus was because I was running paramedic systems as well, was on 2 things. One, what really works in the field in terms of resuscitation. So I got involved in research relatively early. And then and the medical side was how can we improve operations in emergency departments? Because the incentives just aren't there. Mm-hmm. Managed care and Medicare insurance companies, I call them the don't cares. They don't care whether you got a doctor with 100 malpractice charges and none. Whether you got someone who went to Stanford or just got off the boat from the Congo. They pay the same amount of money for the same unit of care, regardless of the quality of service and regardless of the outcome. And that's really stupid. It's unethical. It's wrong. And that got me interested. How can we get better care and make money in emergency medicine? So my thought was, one, you want better care, you need to hire the best doctors. In order to hire the best doctors, you need to pay them more money.
Right.
So far, we're not making more money. In order to
where's the money part?
Have higher quality of care, we have to incentivize the doctors with both qualitative and quantitative incentive compensation. Right. So the government and the insurance companies, the more I do to you, Jim, the more money I make. Well, that doesn't lead to efficiency in the emergency department. nor does it lead to high quality care, just leads to over testing and frankly often misdiagnoses. So again, we're not making more money here. We're paying out more money. And then the last one is the money side. You need to hire the best people, pay them more money, incentivize them with either incentive compensation and/or ownership in the company. Then you need to hire the most efficient doctors. So the average emergency medicine physician, back when I was practicing, was seeing 2 patients per hour. I want people who could see 3.5 patients per hour. If they're seeing more than 5 an hour, they couldn't be doing a good job. Just can't. No one's that fast. And that was the company was called Pegasus Emergency Group. I did it twice. The second time around was my largest exit. And by the way, as soon as I sold those companies, they reverted to a no partnership model, no incentive compensation, just a salary model.
Went back to the
and
old
the doctors
way
like that
business.
because the doctors that way like, well, no one's watching me, because most doctors don't like to be watched. I actually sold Pegasus Emergency Group because I couldn't scale. I could scale the financial side of the business. I was making a lot of money, as with the company, as with the partners, but I couldn't scale quality because we like to say that the median is the 50th percentile. I think in medicine is kind of a freaky thing. In medicine, I think the median is like 90th percentile. I think 90% of doctors are below average in terms of what they should be delivering to people. And they're below average largely because they don't have the incentives, either financial or ethical incentives.
I was going to say they're kind of stuck in the system as it is, and the system's not great, and that's the issue. Right?
They work for someone else. They're no longer independent practitioners. In the 90s, when along came the hospitalist medicine, the doctors, primary care doctors and internists, stopped coming to the hospital. Why bother? And then,
right,
along with the hospitalist medicine came this, because they also cover for the surgeons. The surgeons just want to operate. There's a lot more money operating than there is in going to the hospital and seeing your post-operative patients. So that's the business side of it. That's the first part of it. So I had a very successful service company. I had 3 service companies in emergency medicine. The last one was very, very successful. I also founded a company called SwiftMD, which is the second oldest telehealth company in the country, sold now, around the same time as Teladoc. My goal, unlike Teladocs, was not to make money off of telecalls. My goal was to provide people with an app that would diagnose 85% of things that people see, that people go to ER or urgent care centers, this device can handle it easily. Talking about sore throats, ankle sprains,
right,
upper respiratory infections, back sprain, things, back strain, et cetera.
This is kind of what AI is kind of able to do now.
It should be doing it now.
Sophisticated way, right?
If we want it, if we don't have a shortage of doctors. It's ridiculous that people have to wait so long to see a doctor.
Right.
We have a shortage of doctors. It's artificial because doctors are seeing common problems that can be better handled by this.
Yeah.
If we would empower people with the knowledge
sure.
that doctors would deploy if they weren't motivated by money or told to act in a certain way by hospitals and insurance companies who incentivize them to just think about where the money is. So that's the business part of it. The sex part of it is different. Well, actually, the business part, the SwiftMD got me interested in remote patient management technologies. At home, what information would give people so they don't have to see doctors, ideally, or see doctors more sparingly because they have data. And that got me kind of involved in the world of sensor technologies. The sex thing is different. I've always been maybe an outlier. I don't know a lot of doctors. I put this here's 2 anecdotes. I don't know a lot of doctors whose mothers took them to urologists when they were 15 and 16 years old because the mother was worried about their masturbation habit interfering with their getting to college. I didn't think it was excessive. And then, Mom, here I am today.
You're just a normal guy, man.
So, exactly. And then the first day of medical school, I looked around at the class and thought, these are not my people. I went to the medical library, and at that time there's something called the Index Medicus, which was
wait. So why did you say that? Why did that thought come to your mind? What was it about the rest of the crew that you're like, I'm not fitting in or I'm not seeing this?
They just didn't look like a very fun crowd. They looked like they were very, very serious. They were paying attention to a very boring lectures about intro to medical school, and
Right. Interesting. I taught pre-med people. What's that?
they weren't the most attractive women either. It's
Yeah.
changed, but
I was going to say I studied physics, and I went for my master's degree. I ended up teaching undergrad physics labs for the pre-meds, and you start to see the interesting personalities and types of people that are really, and you could kind of project the ones that are actually going to get into med school and be successful as a doctor, and the ones that weren't. And yeah, you see that window narrowing down in terms of personality. Even at that
well, the
point.
doctors tend to be smart, but they're conformists who follow authority.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
that's unfortunate because we saw
They need to
that
get
with
the A.
with
They need
COVID.
to, the whole system is really, this funnels you into this thought process, I think.
And if you think out, if you're different in your thinking, or if you're skeptical, especially skeptical,
Yeah.
you don't do well. And we saw
agree.
tragically, we saw this during COVID when some or other established principles in epidemiology, like masks don't work with upper respiratory infections, social distancing is just a made up bullshit thing. Where's the science behind that? Or this isn't a vaccine, this is gene therapy. And by the way, you're breaking the
It was
law.
never a vaccine, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you're breaking. You just and by the way, and we no longer have to give full consent. And one of the breakthroughs in American medical legal care occurred in the early 20th century, which was consent. They've got to tell you, warn you about the side effects of medications and procedures.
Right.
And with COVID, they waived that. And they lied. And we go on about COVID. I don't want to get
Yeah,
into
of course, of
But
course.
so I was really interested in sex. And I went to Index Medicus, which was the compendium of research articles. It was hard copy then, it's supposed to be online. And I went for the A volume, aphrodisiacs. I got to read about aphrodisiacs. What secrets do they know? There wasn't exactly, they weren't like a dozen medical students behind me. Hey, I want the A book. I want the A book. I want the A book. I was like, I alone. So, by the way, nothing worked. It's the same supplement stuff that goes on today. Yohimbe, afangadon.
Oh, so there was no big secrets that you found.
No, there were no big secrets. I tried them all, within reason, but
Right.
there was some that struck me as being a little bit too dangerous. But so years passed, and I live in Montana. I ride horses, and one thing is kind of I don't know if you ride horses, Jim, but horse people talk about their wrecks. Skiers talk about the blue sky days and the white powder.
Yeah.
Blue sky, white powders. We horse people talk about something incredibly stupid, negligent, or whatever that happened to us on a horse. Anyway, I broke six ribs and 6 vertebrae, and I'm certain that tree is still screaming about me. That tree is still complaining about what I did to it. But that got me. Unfortunately, my spinal cord wasn't damaged, but that got me interested in what's been done to rehabilitate sexual function in men and women who have spinal cord injury.
Yeah, I gotcha.
And that's now getting closer to where I am today.
Okay.
I went to the medical literature, which, of course, most of which, as we now know, is just literature. It's fiction. It's bullshit. But there were 6 papers claiming that they were able to neuromodulate arousal and climax in men who had spinal injury by implanting an electrode, by neuromodulating the cavernous and pudendal nerves. Every guy's 2 favorite nerves, that women too, that no one ever talks about. Wow. So neuromodulation, like cardiac pacemaking. Imagine being able to pace human sexuality. Imagine how powerful that would be, especially in an aging population.
Yeah.
And eventually, I tried out in two rams. Got a weak erection, got ejaculation, but also got defecation, urination. So, not bedroom friendly.
Oh.
And then I thought, I could go out and raise $15-20 million and go down to the Congo or Brazil, test this out on men with ED. But I'm just going to test it out on myself. And I had a friendly urologist implant electrodes by my pudendal nerve and cavernous nerves. By the way, I don't know any other doctors who've done this. I think I'm an outlier.
Wow.
And I felt nothing. We tried all sorts of amplitude and frequencies and voltages, and I felt nothing. I don't think we actually understand the neurophysiology of sexual arousal in men or women, for that matter. But a urologist professor at the University of Utah heard about this experiment, which I call Project O for obvious reasons, and he said he wanted to work with me on developing a device to count the number of nocturnal erections. That was 4 years ago, and that's the story.
Okay. Oh, so that's where you are. Okay, interesting. Now this kind of makes total sense to me. It's like engineering background, whatever. Like, hey, if you can, there's obviously electrical signals, whatever it is, coming from our brains to our rest of our body, and if we can find the right pathway and stimulate those, it's just a communication problem. Like this should be easy to do if we could figure that out. Is what you're doing, is would it lend itself to something that like Elon Musk is doing with Neuralink? It's like if you can
Great
tap into the
question.
brain and make communications happen, right? You could control sexual health as well as something else, right?
Yeah, well, that's all. There's an upside and a downside to that.
Okay.
So yes, and there are some researchers at the University of Utah who are soon. They don't have IRB approval yet, but they'll soon be studying our device at night along with an EEG to see what's going on in the brain when nocturnal erections are occurring. Can we isolate what's going on in the brain? So that should be very informative. There's a study right now at Baylor University using our technology overnight with a continuous glucose monitor and Whoop to try to see, well, again, what's going on at night with the nocturnal erections, because nocturnal erections turn on and off without controlling them. It's really fascinating, and we don't really know. The doctors kind of pretend, oh, well, you have boners at night because your penis needs blood. Well, really? Well, why does a healthy 25-year-old guy need to have blood who's masturbating 5 times a day or whatever, having sex 5 times? Why does he need?
Right.
Why does he also need to have so many nocturnal erections?
Right.
You would think that the number of nocturnal erections would go up as people get older because they would need more blood. And that ain't happening.
Yeah,
so we don't know what's going on with them. But what's
Or it's
going
like
on?
you're regenerative at night, like your body's rebuilding itself somehow, and it needs to. That's
Well,
part of the
nice
process.
speaking like an academic urologist. We'd have no idea. You can, so you're,
I mean, yeah, it's just a conjecture, obviously, right? Yeah. Like,
yeah. So that's exactly. But they talk about it as if it's something that's real.
Right.
So in order to have an erection at night, your sympathetic nervous system needs to turn off to allow the parasympathetic nervous system to become dominant, as opposed to balance between the two.
right.
And then it turns on again 25, 35 minutes later in everyone who's healthy. Why is that? What turns it on? What turns it off? What turns it on? What turns it off? No one knows. And what's going on in the brain while it's happening? No one knows. So the research that could be done with our technology and the brain, getting back to Elon, is really profound. We're going to figure this. This is going to be figured out, Jim, in the next 3 years.
You're at the tip, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to happen because and if I'm knocking around a golf ball, and by the way, it's I think golf is so boring. I just don't. If you want, if it's like
euphemism for other old people things to do. I don't know, but yeah, I don't.
yeah,
like
but
golf either,
18 holes is a long time. Hey,
Yeah.
if it was like a 9-hole pitch and putt, I might be amused. But
Right.
and that whole pickleball thing, where did that come from? Anyway, I'm not interested in retiring. So, but as far as Elon goes, what's coming really is I mean, there's I spoke at a conference last year in Montreal called Love, Sex, and Robots.
Oh,
And
robot.
they're-
I didn't even think about the robot thing.
Yeah,
before.
so the sex robots are already out there. They're these porn facsimiles that you can buy, and they vibrate. They can talk to you. You can program them to be dominant, to be submissive. They can go along with generative AI that you can watch, and you can stick your dick in a plastic tunnel. I don't know. It doesn't appeal to me, but but that's just sort of a stepping stone. What's really going to happen with when the Neuralink is made is we'll have haptics, we'll have feelies like in Brave New World. You won't even need a robot.
Yeah, right.
You'll be in this other dimension with an ideal
All in your
partner.
imagination somehow.
And exactly, you'll be able to feel everything. Now, take this beyond sex. So this is really, to my mind, is actually disturbing. I mean, it's being sold to us, and it will be sold to us as an enormous benefit to our health and our happiness.
Right.
But a robot connected to AI knows more about you than you know. They know your taste in food, your taste in art, your taste in politics, aside from sex. What you like, what you like in music, what you like to cook. I mean, right now, I've got company coming for dinner tomorrow night, and I have, she's Korean. I have some idea what I want to cook. But if I had a connect to AI, and I could be, by the way, right now, that AI would sort through thousands and thousands of recipes, but they would know something about this person and they would actually, reduce it to like 3 choices with like a blue, with like a green, yellow, red. Hey, go with it, and like an idiot if you go with the red choice. So it's really gonna, and then there's that robot would also be telling you, hey Jim, you didn't take your blood pressure pill this morning. Hey Jim, get out of that. Elliot, get out of that chair. I want 1,000 steps, high steps right now. The potential for social credit scores and bossiness and intrusion into your privacy is enormous. And this is inevitable, Jim. It's inevitable that within
we're certainly going to see some of it. Yeah,
15, 20 years. Yeah.
Just kind of feel. Yeah, you feel it. It's coming. Software and tech is eating the world.
What I'm doing is a lot simpler. We're giving men the data so they can optimize their sexual and cardiovascular health. The biohackers like to say, talk about hacking health. Well, you can't really hack it legitimately unless you can track it, unless you have data. And
Definitely.
As much as I am exasperated by, frankly, so a lot of the bad medicines that we give out, that conventional doctors give out, and the fact that we conventional doctors fail to address, for example, sexual health issues. And the things that the naturopaths and integrators recommend are generally benign. They're not dangerous. They're not like an SR antidepressant or beta blocker for blood pressure, or I could probably name it, or some of the chemotoxins that are used for cancers. The stuff that they recommend is benign. I mean, you're not going to, it's unlikely you're going to cure your cancer overdosing on turmeric, but it's, it's benign. So, it's not, so I just, but they also, there's a selling to hopeful people and credulity involved in that side of healthcare as well too. And with data, it gets real.
Yeah, it gets more clear of like, hey, there's an impact or not, or you got to go in this direction or not, or whatever. Yeah.
And also with data, you're an N of 1. With a wearable, and other wearables, you're an N of 1. Yeah. It's not the one size fits all approach that both the conventional doctors and the integrated doctors approach. And that's wrong. You might want to believe that garlic is going to lower your blood pressure, and it might, but is it? Get a blood pressure cuff.
Yeah, but is
Take
it working?
Garlic. Right. See what happens. The same thing with medicine. Is that are you really? Your doctor's recommending shockwave therapy if you're erectile dysfunction. Well, what's my baseline? And then let me trend it with a device like our techring, as opposed to, I'm just going to spend $10,000 and get shocked, 15 times. And how do I feel now?
Yeah, trying that. Well, I love it. I love the idea of it. Okay, so we just got a few minutes left. I got a couple more questions for you, but one is just in terms of, you got me thinking about the whole kind of sex bot and toy industry, et cetera. Is your product just online? Can you find it in stores? Is it sold in adult stores, or where would you find it?
Sure, it's online, and we straddle 2 worlds. We straddle the world of sexual health, and we are, I don't like calling this a sex toy, but we are I call it an erection. We are an optimizer of performance. So most people find us online at myfirmtch.com.
Okay.
We're also being sold on Amazon, lower hard to find because Amazon's all about the sponsorships,
Sure.
But if the easiest way to find us on Amazon is to Google us, and then the Amazon appears. Whereas,
gotcha.
And
okay,
or
if it's in stores or sold like in CVS, like the health sections
in Australia,
CVS,
in Australia,
like it could fit in there, right?
It's in Australia. It's in stores. We have had conversations with CVS about it, but the margin's not there.
Gotcha. Okay.
I mean, we will be in CVS eventually. We will be in those venues eventually. But I don't want to give up that kind of margin until the insurance companies will pay for us.
Understood. Okay, I got one. Thanks for sharing that, by the way. So
Sure.
You're
Firmtech.com,
right? Myfirmtech.com. So my last question for you is: after all these companies and pivots and reinventions you've had, can you share a reinvention revelation, something you learned about yourself or business or about men's sexuality in particular today that you wouldn't have predicted, that's really had an impact that maybe can help others if they're interested in reinventing themselves a little bit quicker down their path?
It's hard. God,
Wait a second. What? Okay.
It's the friction of business is relentless, and you really have to have the personality for it. So one of the characteristics of an entrepreneur, people should ask themselves this: we entrepreneurs, we convert possibilities into certainties.
Yeah.
With probabilities maybe even being pushed off to the side. But it's really, you need three things in order to execute. You need to have experienced leadership. You need easily 2 or 3 times as much money as you imagine you're going to need, or you're likely to fail. And then, at least in healthcare, you need to know about the research and regulations. So I could not have done what I'm doing right now without the previous experience that I had in business and in medicine. My wife will look at me and say, "How the F did you end up being the pioneer in men's sexual health?" Well, I had those 3 qualities, and I had the interest in sex.
Right.
Other people could have done. So in terms of reducing, in terms of revelations, to God, you're going to burn money. You're going to deal with parasites who don't add any value. It's
right.
It's really, really hard. And frankly, if you look at Elon Musk's biography, you'll see the guy skated failure numerous times.
Right.
You got to be relentless.
Yeah. Well,
if you're not relentless, go work for a corporation.
Well, right. Well, I think you figured that out along the way. Where I figured that out for myself about 20 years ago. I kind of left the corporate world and realized I needed to be on my own and figured it out. But yeah, it's tough. It's scary. You have to have a certain constitution and wherewithal and thought process that goes along with it somehow. That's like, wait a second, the whole challenge is to figure out problems. So you just get into the problem solving methodology and just.
Oh, yeah, almost every problem can be solved, Jim.
Right.
Problems are. Oh, here's 2 other points, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Am I continuing?
Sure.
You have to think dialectically. What does that mean? It means that for every thesis, there's an antithesis. If you're not thinking dialectically, you're not going to come out with the right synthesis. Yep. So you think you have a good idea, what would refute it? And you need to be trained. I learned in emergency medicine to think myself that way. What's the differential diagnosis? Here's what I think it is. What else could it be? Within reason. And I would say that all the failures that I've had with this particular business, and I would say we're in over $3 million, of which I would probably say, if I had to do it over again, of course I'd do it over again without making any mistakes whatsoever, I would probably have, I still would have probably another $750,000. But I didn't know what I didn't know. And I engaged with experts who didn't know what they didn't know. And the failures, if I look back at them, were all about not thinking, is there another way to do this?
Right.
Or is a step necessary? But here's what I'd like to close with. I want to circle back to what we've accomplished and a message for men.
Sure.
Get your data. If you think you have ED, there's a 12-13% chance you have a heart or a metabolic problem, and your nocturnal erection data will tell you whether that's likely or not. If you get erections, you'll lose them. Put a ring on it.
I love it. Put a ring on it, man. Gives a whole new meaning to that phrase. So, Elliot, thanks for being on. I really appreciate it. One more time, go to myfirmtech.com if you're interested. Those links and other information will be in the show notes. Elliot, thanks again. I really appreciate you coming on.
It was a pleasure, Jim. Thanks.
Thank you for listening to Jim's Reinvention Revolution podcast. If you want to hear more, join our mailing list at jimjimsreinventionrevolution.com. See you next time. And remember, the revolution has just begun. So dig in, embrace the process of reinvention, and start realizing the success you've always dreamed of. Hey, revolutionaries, if you enjoyed today's episode and today's guest, let them know by commenting on their Facebook page, finding their Twitter handle or Instagram feed, and letting them know you heard them on Jim's Reinvention Revolution podcast, and tell them what you got out of the episode, what you really liked, or how they inspired you. I know they would get a kick out of it and will help others find the same value that you found.